It was the fall of 1984. I was sitting in the back of a courtroom, observing, and I watched the story of a 2.5-year-old child unfold. He was a child who was blind, severely disabled, and had been removed within his earliest months of life for severe neglect. His parents were unable to care for him and barely able to care for themselves. But despite the challenges that this little toddler faced, he grew to love his foster family, and over 2.5 years he thrived. During that time, there was very little meaningful contact with his birth parents. So I'm in the back of the courtroom thinking, okay, somebody's going to talk about possibly termination of parental rights, maybe adoption, maybe permanent custody, but that didn't happen. Instead, the judge, without any prompting from anybody in the courtroom, ordered the immediate removal of that child, not to return home, but to be placed with a stranger, another foster family, because the judge believed that the relationship that that little boy enjoyed with his foster family was interfering with the rights of his parents. I waited for an objection, a request for an evidentiary hearing, a developmental assessment to determine if the child could even handle that kind of a transition. Maybe a parent-child interaction with the birth parents to determine that they really weren't able to care for him. But none of that happened, because this little boy did not have an attorney to fight for him. That day was an epiphany for me. I walked out of that courtroom determined to start an organization that was about justice for children, and that gave birth to the Rocky Mountain Children's Law Center. I'm sure each of you in this room has your own story, the story that inspired you, the story that keeps you going every day, the story that allows you to have the courage to fight for every one of the kids that might cross your path. And over time, these stories really become a part of our lives. We grow because of those stories. We change because of those stories. Hopefully, the children's lives are transformed because of our work. We might develop greater courage. We might develop a greater sense of urgency as a result. We may even develop a greater tolerance for the parents that we work with. But for most of us, we really do strengthen the commitment that we have to the work.